everybody, I have been getting hit with a lot of private emails regarding, hey, are you going to buy Affinity Photo 2 and drop Adobe? Well, no answer on that one, but I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to share some information with you that may help you decide whether you're going to drop Photoshop and go with Affinity Photo. Are we ready for this? Let's do it. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to the channel, this is dedicated to photography and working as a photo artist, thinking creatively out of the box. All right, it is August now, and I'm still surprised. I'm still getting hit with a lot of emails regarding, hey, are you going to purchase Affinity Photo 2? Because I've got the trial version that expires for me in January of 2025. So I got a lot of time to play with it. I haven't had a lot of time to dive in depth with it yet, but I am going to work on it some more. But I'm going to share some information with you that might help you decide, hey, should I just, go with Affinity Photo 2? And I do have 2 or 3 plugins, but it only works maybe with Photoshop. I mean, I really don't know. So I'm going to share with you how to install some plugins that would say work in Photoshop and bring it into Affinity Photo. Will all of them work? Nope, but a lot of them will work. So let's take a look at this. So right here, I've got the trial version. We get it for 6 months, and I encourage you to do this. And as this opens up, it'll remind me that this is a trial version. And so I'm just going to continue right here as a trial version. Now, one of the things that in using Photoshop for years in my business and doing client work, there's certain things I'll talk about that why I won't purchase this as my priority program, but I might invest in this software as a utility program over and above Photoshop, because it may do some things that are very unique that Photoshop can't do, or would take a long time to do with a lot of steps, where this software will do it faster and easier. Because again, for me, time is money. But again, if you are doing photography as a hobby, this is very tempting as a software, as long as it meets your needs. So let's talk about, first of all, plugins, because I've got some plugins I like to use in Photoshop. One of them will not work at all because it's using the engine and algorithms of Photoshop. But again, it's a unique situation. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but let's take a look at the interface here of Affinity Photo. Now, one of the things I said, I have not, dived into this program heavily in creating and working with images. But one thing I do appreciate is a lot of the aesthetic layout looks similar to Photoshop, not 100%, but close. And a lot of the shortcut keystrokes that I use, again, not all, but a lot of them will work in this program, which I really do appreciate. But let's take a look at this. Let's go to Edit drop-down menu and come down to a feature called Settings. Now, when I choose Settings here, this dialog box, when it opens up, go to a category called Photoshop Plugins right here. Now, when that opens up, you're going to see right here, plugins, there are none. So what I want to do is add a plugin to Photoshop. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 2 of them to see if they're going to work. And I was just doing some research on this. So here we go. First time for me on this. I'm going to click on Add, the Add button. And one of the programs I do use a lot, and I have to go to my main drive. So I'm on a PC, very similar, I'm sure, on a Mac. Find a folder where your programs are loaded or installed, I should say. And I'm going to scroll down to Skyloom software, because I do use quite often Luminar Neo. So I'm going to double click on this folder to open that up, and I'm just going to choose Select Folder. And it puts the path to where that software is in this dialog box. Now, I'm going to share with you a plugin that does not work in Photoshop, but it worked in older versions. And so I'm going to go to Add right here, And I'm going to go back to my program file structure. And again, this is on the C drive, my main drive. Same concept if you're using a Mac. Find the folders where your programs are installed. And then I'm going to scroll down to Topaz Labs. And these are some plugins that no longer work in the newer versions of Photoshop. So I'm just going to choose Topaz Glow. Double click on that and just choose select folder. Now, we could do this with any of them, but it doesn't mean that those plugins will work in the program. So I've got the two paths here in the dialog box. When I close out, I think it's going to ask me, if I remember right, it's going to ask me, okay, to save these changes, would you like to restart now? So I'm going to choose yes. I'm going to click on that. It will close out, looks like, and automatically is rebooting to Affinity Photo 2. So let that boot up. And again, continue with the trial version. This software is so inexpensive. I'm pretty, like 90% sure I'm going to buy this. I've got some questions to ask you guys at the end of this video that maybe you could help me out. So let's just close out. Now, one of the things I do appreciate is, I mentioned before, is that there are shortcut keystrokes, some of them that work here that also work in Photoshop. Let's go back to edit for a moment and come down to settings just to take a preview under Photoshop plugins. There's the two plugins right here. So that's fine. So I'm going to close that out. And then if I go to filter drop-down menu, come down to plugins right here, there's the Skylum software, there's Luminar Neo. Of course, I don't have an image open up, so it's not activated. And Topaz Labs. Okay, Topaz Glow. We'll see if that's going to activate and work. Okay, so one of the things I'm going to do is, I do this in Photoshop all the time, is I double click in my workspace. So I found that, wow, this works in, Affinity Photo 2. So that's great. So I don't have to worry about going to File, drop-down menu, Open, or whatever. This is faster for my workflow. I'm going to go to, let's see, where can I find something real quick? I'm working on a special project that probably is going to take me a year or so, but I'm working on a cover for a boudoir art book I'm putting together for myself on some of my past work and future work right here. So that's opened up. I can see it in layers over here. If I do Control J, Command J on a Mac, boom, shortcut keystroke works. So I appreciate that. So a lot of these, again, core shortcut keystrokes that I use in Photoshop without thinking, I'm finding that most of these are working fine in this program. So to me, that is a plus. Now, with that done, let me do this again. Control J, Command J on a Mac, and I'm going to close out the top one there. So let's hide that. Let's go to the second one first, because I'm going to do a before and after here. And if I go to Filter, again, drop-down menu right here, and come down to plugins, let's open up Skylum Luminar Neo, and let's see if this works. And yep, it's booting up, which is a good good thing right now. But let's see. This is called round tripping, by the way, by some people. In other words, it's opening this up in Luminar Neo. I want to make some adjustments, save it, and it's going to put it back in the layer in Affinity Photo 2, just like in Photoshop. Now, I'd like to do something radical here so we can really see a difference in the look. So let's let this render out. Let's do that. So I'm going to pick this one right here. So you saw that the image changed. I'm going to go to edit mode because I really want to make sure that when I go to edit mode, let's do just a quick modification here. I'm going to go to mystical. I'm just really going to push that slider way to the right here. So let's move this way to the right so we can see some changes. Hopefully we can see a change. There we go. So there's a before and after, big change. Okay, I'm going to click on apply at the very top here, and let's see what happens. Let that render out and drop that right into Photoshop. I mean, hey, I thought it was in Photoshop. Affinity Photo 2. There's let's close out of this. Before right there and after. So that's, yay, that's good. So Affinity Photo is working. That's a big plus for me. Okay, so let's reactivate the very top one here. And did I activate that? Yes, there we go. And now let's try something that does not work anymore for me in Photoshop. And this was an older version. So let's go to Filter, come down to Plugins. And again, I'm going to choose Topaz Labs, Topaz Glow 2. And let's see what happens. Whoa. Okay. I'm not getting any kind of error. I'm not going to play with sliders and talk about this program because most people don't even know this exists. It's an old plugin. I'm just going to choose a preset. I can go in and change that with settings, but again, this is not a demo of this software. I just want to know if this plugin works. And cool. Okay, so let's see what happens. Let me click on lower right-hand corner on OK. Whoa. Okay, that rendered out super fast. I'm impressed. So there's the before and there is the after. So let's talk about this for a moment. In my opinion, and again, I agree with somebody made a comment that they're not going to switch to Affinity Photo 2 because they're so used to Photoshop and in their workflow that they just don't have time to relearn something. And I totally agree with that, especially for me because I still do client work and I need to get through things fast. Time is money. But I'm going to change the scenario, and that is if I'm just doing this as a hobby for fun and this software gives me what I want with 2 or 3 plugins that I use a lot, say in Photoshop, and they work here, and again, this gives me everything I want, very tempting to skip Adobe, buy this software, take my time in learning it. And obviously, the more you use the software, your workflow starts to increase. And by the way, if any of this information is helpful, if you could do me a favor, please like the video, subscribe if you have not subscribed, and hit that notification bell. Next time I upload a video, you'll get notified on that. So what I'd like to talk about in conclusion here is, will I change to Affinity Photo is 100% of my product? And the answer is no. And the reason is my workflow habits are just, I've got it down in Photoshop. I've been using it for years. And one plugin that does not work, and that is Easy Green Screen by Pixnub. And one of the things I get to do in there, number one, the plugin doesn't work in here because it's using algorithms from specifically from Adobe Photoshop, and I can do batch processing with that program. And time is money for me, especially like I just, let's see, this will be toward the end of August. So I just got done shooting around 21 cheerleaders, and I had to do them twice because I have to do standalone images for a card for them, but then I had to do a composite for a big 4x6 banner. So my workflow, I need to go fast, and I can't do that in Affinity Photo with that plugin at all. If I didn't do that kind of work, by the way, the type of work I do when it comes to compositing that, I'm going to say 95, if not more than 95% of photographers and photo artists don't do what I do. And so I do a very niche market that I use a lot, and nothing beats Photoshop for me. If I wasn't doing that kind of work, and I was doing what I would call basic compositing in Photoshop without that plugin, this would be tempting. And would I get this program? And the answer would be yes. Would I drop Adobe Photoshop? Okay, answer probably would be yes. But because I'm still in business, I love Photoshop. It helps me get what I want done quick and fast and can do things that this program can't. No, sorry. I might just use this program as a plug-in add-in or something like that to do some unique things that maybe Photoshop can't do or takes a long time to do. So hopefully this helps you out. I'm very neutral on this. I think, hey, if this meets your needs and you have 2-3 plugins that you really like, try with the trial version to see if your plugins will work. And if it does, and you go, man, I really like this, and I don't do this as a business or part-time business. This is a hobby of mine. I think this is a great choice, okay? So I'm going to encourage the people that if you have not downloaded the trial version of this, please do this before they take away that 6-month trial period and just go back to their original, I think it was 15 or maybe 30 days or something like that. But get the trial version, play with it. If you can do me a favor, if you see some things in there that are very unique, that are easy to do, or cannot be done in Photoshop, let me know, because that's what I'm hunting for. And I just don't have the time to do that right now because I'm in the middle of a lot of client work. Let me share that information with me so I could test this out and share it with other people. Okay, so with that out of the way, people, let's get that camera out. You know what I say, let's push ourselves to get to an uncomfortable maybe positions out of our comfort zone. Think creatively out of that box. Until next time, see ya.